Welcome to Rise and Grind podcast from the playing field to parenthood. It's me, Alex, and Danielle here for episode 8. I can't believe we're 2 months into this now because we've been every week, which proud of us for 2
6 combined, and we're just getting it done the first 2 days of the week.
You got it. It's better. If it was on Fridays, we probably would have struggled a little more. So we are excited to bring you guys episode 8 today. We're going to do a quick little intro here. We got some questions from some of our boxes on Instagram yesterday. So we want to answer a couple of those. Some of them are really good and are going to, I think, be addressed in like a full episode. I think some of them are a little bit deeper than we can manage in this short amount of time, but they're really good questions. So we're definitely still going to address those. And then we have a special guest coming on shortly, and we're really excited to have her. So do you want to kick it off with the first question?
Yes. The question came from Janelle. I actually know Janelle really well. And her question was like disciplining kids like in practice when they're not listening or not doing what you want them to do. And listen, when they're younger, I feel like you have a lot more patience, right? When you're choosing to coach kids that 5, 6, 7, you have to have this calm, almost like a babysitting approach, because you're not going to get them to really, really listen well when they're that little. I think question really opens up for me is when you start to get to that level when they're playing select and they're choosing to go and practice multiple times a week and you're on a competitive team, and that's when it starts to get like tricky, right? And I think the hardest part for me is when you think about the time that coaches invest, right? Like I help coach Maddie's team. I'm not the head coach, but I definitely try to get there as much as I can to invest time. And as you say, that's the highest currency that everyone has is our time. So if I'm giving my time, I want that level of respect back. I want you to lock eyes with me when I'm talking to you. I want you to acknowledge when I'm giving you feedback. And when you don't, or you think you're too cool for school, that's when I start to get like frustrated. So like my ultimate thing right away is like, I will kind of not like throw like a jab where I'm like poking at them, but like, hey, like when I'm telling you something, like I need you to like look at me, or give them a way where they're kind of like, oh shit, she's like not like super stoked with me right now. And then if they do it again, I honestly start to like leave them out of it a little bit, where it's like, hey, I'm going to give to the kids that I know that are here working their tails off, that are asking me questions, the other coaches questions, and that don't get their back up when we give them feedback. I think we're starting to be on Maddie's team now where kids are starting to go through puberty and hormones are raging, and it's like, oh,
mood swing.
Me. I get offended, and I don't want them to think that that's the case. So for me, it's more so about letting them know like, hey, you got to be better here. And when they don't give me that sense of respect back and I see it happen again, then I just start to kind of like give in and pour into other kids.
Yeah, I think it starts with, like you said, like realistic expectations of what you're dealing with. So knowing and understanding the limitations of the age group that you're dealing with is super important, because 6 and 7-year-olds are not going to have the same attention spans as 9 and 10-year-olds. Like it doesn't seem that far apart, but it really is truly different. So understanding what that is, and then making sure that you have a really solid practice plan in place. So creating routines and things that they can expect from a practice. So if, you stay regimented about like, this is what we do for warm up. So even if, somebody comes in late, they know exactly where to jump in and to just get started. Like, don't be late. But obviously that's number one. But if you are like, you know what to do, you know what drills you can expect, if we're doing around the horn or if we're doing this, like I know exactly where I can jump in and immediately just catch up. And I think just being firm and consistent about that in the beginning is so important. And that really carries over in parenthood too. Like if you have those boundaries and those expectations with your kids, it's very similar to coaching in understanding that like there's level one of like, okay, you've made a mistake. I'm correcting you now and I expect it to change. Okay, if you've done it again, okay, you need to understand there's going to be some consequences here, whether it's, you know, you need to take a lap and like recenter and refocus yourself, or, you know, happens a third time. Okay, now you are causing everybody else to be distracted, or you're taking away from their ability to take in whatever's going on. So something else needs to change. So having the support of the parents, obviously, like you said, when you make that transition to select, they're paying for their kids to be there. So their patience in what's allowed and like the leniency that you have gets a lot tighter too. Yeah. So just making sure that everybody knows what to expect and being consistent about what those consequences and, you know, level one, I don't know what the word is I'm looking for, is like your level one kind of like warning and kind of moving up from there, as long as they know what those are and being super clear about where they're at in like that dial of like, okay, you're getting to a point where I can't continue to invest in what you're doing, and that's going to result in you being completely removed from the situation and then missing out on that opportunity. So I think that's probably, you know, you just start hitting ground balls them a lot.
Yeah.
It's like your turn only.
You know, it's funny. Last night I'm throwing BP and like, for the most part, I never really have to get frustrated at any of the girls because they're there to work hard. But we had one athlete that came in and I threw 4 balls like kind of down the middle, and she just took these pitches. And like I gave her maybe 2 more where she could actually like put contact in it. I'm like, yep, you're done. Get out. Like that's the type of stuff too, where it's like, hey, we're here to work hard. So if I'm throwing BP and I'm sore and I just did this workout with you guys an hour prior, like I'm out here too. And I just give you 4 pitches like down the middle and you just took them. That's 4 pitches that this arm, you know, had to do. And it, like, meaning I could have gave it to someone else. So like they'll know too with me where it's like, you're not gonna work hard, get the hell out. I'm not gonna deal with this. So like just go. And then I said to the next one that came in, you take balls down the middle, you're done. And the next one, and like, but I also think sometimes we'll have days where we're coming in, we're a little more cranky. Yeah. And the girls know that. And they know that. So it's a hard balance, but at the end of the day, I feel like if they're there, they're paying to be there. We're giving our, they have to know we got to go. We got to work hard. There's times where you can joke around and coaches do too, but at the end of the day, we're just trying to get 1% better every time we're together. So yeah.
One of the things that we did at UC Davis that I really liked and appreciated was that we had a roster and a whiteboard and everybody's name was on it. And every day when they got to practice, they were putting up their percentages for the day. What percent are you at today? So us as coaches were aware, like if somebody's at 80% today because they're focused on their exams tomorrow and it's taking away from their ability to give 100% at practice, we were aware of it. And as coaches, you know, we're going in, your expectation is to be at 100% every day when you step on that field. But some days you just can't do that. You can only be at 80% of whatever your 100 is. And so you better give me 100% of that 80 if that's where you're at. And if not, then we need to have a conversation about where that is. And, you know, maybe they're still a little bit too young to kind of understand what that feels like to not be at 100%, but it's not a bad idea to kind of like instill that in your kids. Like, are we good to go to practice right now? Do you need something? Like, is there anything you want to talk about? Like, how do we get your mind right to enter this at the 100% of whatever you can give today? So that would be another like side note.
Yeah, I like that.
So
and really kind of the last question I want to say was from Outside the Shoot, right? They're a podcast as well. And it was just a brief like, how are you guys liking doing this? And I mean, I don't know, I can't speak for you, but like, I feel like it's fun because there's like no pressure with it. You know, like we can really make it what we want it to be. We can make it super chill. We can make it hardcore. And I can appreciate that. Like I look forward to doing it. And that to me means that it's worth continuing.
Yep. That's exactly what I would say is like, we haven't put like limitations on ourselves in like what we can talk about, what we can't talk about. Like we haven't like limited ourselves with topics. Like we kind of touch on a lot of different things, but they're all kind of intertwined in like a weird beautiful way.
Yeah.
And I think, it's everybody wants to be heard. Everybody wants to feel like somebody out there understands where they're coming from. And so I think getting this opportunity it's just a blessing. And I think, even just pushing it one day, yesterday, I was like, dang, this feels weird. Like we're usually recording today. I kind of feel like I missed something on my Monday. So I'm excited to jump back in today.
And I think it'll be super cool too. Like once we get into the college season, like so fun to be able to talk shop post weekend. Just little things that stand out, and just transfers and the impacts that they've made. Like it's super cool to always be able to kind of make it what we want. But obviously when you think about that college softball season, like how long a season like that is and how much fun it will be to like preseason and the teams that we think are gonna potentially win it all. Like we could do like a women's college World Series team who we think is going to be there at the end. And I just feel like there's so much, there's so much we could do. So I don't know. I look forward to what's to come with it. I've always appreciated kind of the support from people and questions. It's been super fun. So
yeah,
excited to get our guests on.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna get ready to hop in here, and we're excited for you guys to hear our guests today.
Dogs in the house. Just kidding. And Alex Gomez, Danielle Laurie. We have Alex Gomez and one of my favorite people in the whole world, Coach Heather Tarr, in the house. Episode 8, like we said, from the playing field to parenthood. And Coach Tarr was someone that was very nice to choose to hop on today with how busy she is with all of the stuff going on at UW and everyone right now in the winter. And so this is cool that she's taken the time. We're not going to take up too much of her time. I'm going to kick us off because I don't need to go too much into detail about stuff, but when I think about you before you took on the role of being the head coach with USA, I think about like you being there in 2008 in that run with Canada and just being there in person. And was there a moment in that like 2008 Olympics where you were like, man, one day I want to be a part of this? Or like, when did you kind of realize like this was something that maybe you wanted to take on?
Oh, that's a great question. I honestly don't know if my brain ever like could even fathom that, because Coach Candrea was the head coach, and thinking of, I guess, myself doing something that someone that we all revered so much did. I don't even think when I was watching you go through your first experience at that, I could even think about that. I think, but more so coaching you and Jen specifically, and I guess kind of like the front side of my head coaching experience, you guys taught me so much about what being an Olympic athlete was, and what the standard was of like just the commitment level and the grind that Team Canada demands of you guys in a really positive way. So I think just I matured over time watching you guys, and then, having people like, I guess I would say like Ali Aguilar come from our experience and have an opportunity early in like 2016, and watching her go through what she went through. I think my passion towards helping people like yourself or in that like equivalent space really inspired me to be like, I can help. And so I did get an opportunity to join Ken Erickson's staff in 2017. And I think from there, it just, you start to grow and you think about like what maybe you can do in a position of leadership. So long answer to a great question. Just through the experiences I had, I feel like I matured to the point where I was like, okay, I think I could see myself doing this.
That's awesome. And in that regard, like being able to, come back to UW and now coaching at your alma mater and having such a successful career, like what is that? How do you impress that sort of, not necessarily longevity, but like almost loyalty, right? Like to your school, to like having like that pride and that sense of like, I'm a dog, like I'm a dog, right? Like, and really like impressing that on your players now.
Yeah, it's probably a positive, and sometimes I see it as like a negative, where it's like, I think I was taught at a young age just from my parents, like probably more so during high school. My parents my dad changed careers. He went from being like in the lumber business, like selling lumber and being in like an office to then taking a job, or basically going and being self-employed in a used car sales business with my mom. And I think watching my dad go from like, you know, just working to live to then like just like living his life that he wanted to live. I think I learned a little bit about just being passionate about what you do and really not like letting your job run your life. Now I laugh at myself because I'm like literally let this job run my life. But I think just the passion I have towards the University of Washington, specifically a place where I grew up, a place that I got to build a foundation for, and then a place where we were able to find a way to realize the dreams of the entire program and win our first national championship. Like, I don't see it as a job. And because of that, I think I haven't really wanted to step away from being here because I'm so passionate about it. And again, I go back to watching my parents do something that they loved, and really not seeing it as a job, but just more seeing it as like a passion that you are ultimately like living your whole life for.
When you think about like getting this gig in 2005 and now we're heading into like that 2025 season, like, you know, it's hard to sum up and say if there's one or two games, but like when you think about, you know, obviously winning a national championship's a really big deal, but like if you take that piece out, that specific game or that run, like are there any games or like moments that you remember where you're just like, damn, like you were so where your feet were at and this was just an incredible moment, or a couple things that stand out to you specifically?
Oof, there's a lot to like log back in, but yeah, I think probably the 07 to 09 experience. I know we experienced that together, but growing together and finding a way to get Washington back to the World Series in 2007 was, I think for me personally, like, you know, it just was like, yeah, I can do it, you know, with me being the head coach. It doesn't have to be Coach Wilson, the coach I played for, making it there. But then, you know, kind of waiting for you to get back to our program in 2009. I vividly remember building those moments. And then I think I can fast forward to 2017 through 2019, really being present with our team and our population, and going from some hard years, like when you left the program and graduated, you know, kind of rebuilding ourselves so that, again, like we can get back there and we can still endeavor a national championship with, you know, the new people and the new era. So I just think like more so eras, not so much like, I guess, you know, one-off games. I mean, certainly can recount like some epic moments, but I think just more so like certain eras like that.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah. And like, I don't know. I mean, I feel like you talk about like these pre-COVID years, right? And then you have like this huge shift in the game and, you know, just life in general with 2020. How have things changed in the scope of like our sport since 2020? Do you feel like, you know, with all these extra, like everybody got an extra year, they kind of had to come back and either graduate, come back, pick up where they left off. How do you feel like that affected the athletes after 2020?
Yeah, I think it was just an interesting shift in our sport, other sports, maybe just more monetarily being able to use the conference support that each conference has financially to give you like a buffer to basically raise money to support athletes in other ways, whether that be in the NIL space and just things like that. So the fluidity of the transfer portal and people having those extra years to say, hey, I've been here a long time. Let's see what's out there for me next. I think, yeah, there was like a kind of like a trend in exiting where you started, but yeah, I don't know what's to come in the future because anybody can go anywhere anytime they want. But I definitely think it's a new era and just different times and different financial things at stake, where before it was like maybe you're hoping you can get a full ride, and now it's like, well, maybe you can get, you know, all of your expenses paid plus some. So it's a different world, different figures, I guess.
And to kind of to kind of piggyback off that, like something that I think about, especially since COVID happened and it's now opened up the door for the portal and NIL and all that stuff. Like, how do you feel like you've had to evolve as a coach with the generation of the athlete that seems like they are a little bit different too? Because it seems like stuff can be a little bit more individual throughout the process of trying to get recruited now. When back in the day, it was like, you can't worry about yourself because it's the team. If the team does well, I'm going to get seen. So just curious how you feel like you've evolved or your staff has had to try to evolve to just stay up to date with how stuff has changed so much with all that.
Yeah, I can't say that I have like mastered it or figured it out yet. I think the right fit, quote unquote, is very important, and identifying athletes that like really, really fit your program and your way is important. So just like player development, human development, relationships that you have with your population is really important. But then again, there's stuff like always like this outside your control. Like, can you control how other people are making themselves happy? No, you can't. Can you control, conference shifts and different ways that things are going to go in the bigger picture and how the big wheel turns? No, you can't control those things. So just trying to control what you can control is probably more so what like I'm continuing to learn, and make sure that we just get the right fit. And maybe loyalty for a year is all you can ask. Maybe it's not a 4-year thing, but certainly, when I see people like a Bailey Klingler or, even our gals from, recent past, a Courtney Gano or a Kylie Lawners. And there were so many times where I think those humans could have just jumped ship and just been like, peace out. This sucks for me. And then just to continue to have relationships with those people is like, man, like those things maybe are not going to be what happens in the future. So it's definitely an evolution, and can't really take things personally, I think, is the big thing.
Yeah.
Gosh, you remind me so much of so I coached under Aaron Thorpe at UC Davis for a couple of years. So it's like a lot of what you're saying is very much, it's like, it's not just, a position thing when you're getting recruited. It's definitely like a culture fit, right? Like it has to be the right time, the right place, and you have to be able to fit like what you're trying to achieve at the school. So I think that definitely resonates with a lot of people. What do you feel like is sort of like the biggest piece of your legacy there at Washington? Or if you could pick what your legacy is, what would it be?
Just that we teach people how to go from being, I guess, like novice and amateur in all ways to being pros. And doesn't mean that all of our players are going to go play professionally, but just being a pro in what you do and how you treat the situation that you're in, and basically how to become an elite competitor in your environment, whether it's on the field, off the field. I think we just do a good job of helping people learn how to do that together through the sport, but then the skills that they learn while they're with us, they translate to the next level, whatever that next level might be.
To kind of change gears a little bit, obviously there's going to be a difference now with playing in the Big Ten. Love it or hate it, it's here and it's going to be happening. But just, I kind of want to know your difference or thoughts, we'd say, on like Pac-12, Big Ten, like things you're looking forward to. Obviously, you don't know what it's going to be like with the travel and competition, but just kind of from your lens of things you're looking forward to about this kind of opportunity and being a Big Ten school.
Yeah, I think just when you look at the Big Ten as I guess it's a fan or somebody that's like making sense out of dollars, you say like that the Big Ten should be legit in all facets. Mm-hmm. Whether that be in football, basketball, volleyball, any sport that they have. And I think in softball, I've always thought, in general, it's been a conference that could achieve more and do more wherever they are. I know there's the weather component. So sometimes like people just don't want to go to where you have to have that be a factor. But I think in terms of like facilities and money and financial backing for these universities, like it should be big, like big. I mean, you look at the success of Michigan and Northwestern, and I don't want to eliminate, talking about any program, but Nebraska even. And when you go to those schools, I mean, they're like huge universities, world renowned. And you couple that with what their capacities are, whether that be the media reach or just the branding of those schools. I mean, I think that the best is to come. And with Oregon and UCLA and us coming in as a softball group, I think we can help the Big Ten just continue to get where it's trying to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I totally feel that. I think it's exciting. Like it's different. And I think that's what a lot of people are kind of like, oh, like what's going to happen? But at the same time, like the longevity of the change and like how it's going to affect things, like you said, like weather, like obviously I played in Hawaii. So a lot of people came to us, right? Because it was always sunny. And then they get there and it pours rain for 3 days and they're like, wait, what happened? We're like, yeah, that's what happens here. So it definitely brings a different element to those things. I don't know. What else you got, Dee?
I kind of have one that really stands out to me, and I want your honest opinion. I know you're always pretty honest, but we have a lot of like people that listen that have kids that play multiple sports. So, I mean, I was very fortunate to play multiple sports. I know like my recruiting class, you think of someone like Kimmy Pullman and just playing multiple sports and how that benefited us. But do you feel like there's been a shift in the game? Like, do you have like an age cap where you think like, hey, you should start to focus more on XYZ? Like, how do you view that piece?
Oh, well, I'm still a fan of the multiple sport athlete. In fact, we have a 2025 high school grad that just signed with us. Her name is Casey Burdick. She and her twin sister have played high school volleyball and club volleyball pretty competitively. And, it takes the right, I guess, travel ball fit for the athlete to be able to do the multiple sport stuff. And it also takes a competitive enough athlete to be able to manage it. I mean, I think more often than not, it's easier to give up on it than it is to concentrate and try to find a way to have all the parties coexist. Mm-hmm. But Casey she was supposed to come back up to take an unofficial visit to us, kind of in celebration of her signing. And she and a couple other of her future teammates were trying to make it up. Well, Casey had to cancel at the last minute last week because she and her team, Foothill High School, they made their CIF volleyball championship, run. So they kept on winning. But I actually got to go watch her 2 weeks ago. And I mean, the gal can jump out of the gym. She's 5'7". She's strong as hell. And her probably softball skills are maybe a little bit, shy of development. But I mean, who cares? Like, eventually that's all going to work itself out. And she's on a competitive travel ball program and she's making it work. So I think I don't recruit people just because they play multiple sports, but I think it certainly isn't a bad thing. And to be able to know a family that can, keep the perspective for what it is and the enjoyment for the sport for what it is, I value that big time.
Amen. Thank you for saying all that. I just have 2 more and then we'll let you go. In a perfect world, what's your all-time Husky starting lineup? It can go back to the days. Hey, and listen, I may or may not have had Andrew help me out with some of these questions. So Big Daddy was sitting down on the table.
Just putting her on the spot there.
Okay, you're gonna have to help me keep track. Okay, if I'm forgetting someone, I need an assist here because you are in this world of that kind of stuff, meaning keep track of all the stats. So, do I draft? Am I drafting a team? That's what I'm doing. I'm drafting a team.
Is it a starting lineup or is it all? Did she get all 18?
We'll just go starting 9.
Okay, thanks.
Keep it simple.
Okay, well, I mean, start. Oh, you want me to start with the pitcher? We got to always start with the pitcher.
Oh yeah, we can start pitcher.
Okay. What if I didn't pick? Would you be so pissed?
No.
Okay.
Andrew said you probably might not.
No, I'm picking you. Sorry, everybody else.
We know that.
Okay. Catcher. There's so many, but you got to go with I think the most statistically relevant one in Kristen Rivera.
All day.
It's just obviously four-time All-American. Okay, we'll start at short. Jen. I gotta pick
Oh,
Jen.
I know. Dude, when we're watching that Arizona State game, Andrew could not stop talking about her play defense. He's like, dude, you need to show the team how quick your transfer is and how good you are.
Yeah, she's a playmaker. She was a playmaker. Second base, I mean, I gotta give my props to Sis and Allie, but I think my heart is with Ashley Charters for multiple reasons. Just her leadership ability and her ability to hit for power, and she could run. Oh God, you're killing me. Third base is Taylor Van Zee. I just love how she played. Sorry, Morgan, I love you. But I gotta pick Taylor. And first base, man, this one's a tough one. That one's a tough one. But
anyone from your time? I'm trying to think.
Yeah, maybe we gotta pick the old school foundation with Michelle Church. She was a solid one. She brought a lot of great things to our program with her people. Let's see. Did we go? We got to go to the outfield.
Left field.
You can't start with left field because it's just, you got to start in center field.
I'll play left for you. It's fine.
Okay. Center field. Oh man. I think one of the best center fielders I've ever coached is Kelly Burdick. Kelly Burdick was on our team from well, gosh, I can't even remember now, but maybe 15, 16, 17, and 18. The gal's a stud. Did a lot of things that you couldn't see. So I'm going to pick Burdick. And then let's see, right field. Oof, that's a tough one. But I think one of the best right fielders I've ever coached that we've had is Maddie Husky. She grew a lot, and she again, kind of like Burdick, made a lot of things look really easy. Left field, oh man, they could be literally so many different people.
I know.
But my heart. No.
Okay.
Yeah, well, maybe my heart goes with Sammy. My heart does go with Sammy Reynolds.
He's a stud.
She was clutch and a great athlete. We got to have Sammy in there.
She could be one of the best athletes that I've ever seen.
Yeah, pound for pound,
like, all the way around. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Sure.
Thanks for helping me pick Sammy.
And I mean,
we support your decision.
No moment is greater than the McNeese moment.
That's true. Recent clutch history. Sammy Reynolds.
Tears streaming down his face. I was in Florida State calling that regional, and I'm watching on the couch, and I'm like, dude, the dogs are going down. And then Sammy steps up. That was one of the most iconic moments, like, in the program. That really was a big deal. Okay, we got our starting lineup. And
okay, nice. What was yours?
No, I would say, well, don't put me on the spot.
I'll get it later. Right, I'll get it later from you. I'll get it later.
So I'll text it after.
I think lastly, for me, it's just kind of what you're looking forward to with this 2025 dog team, and kind of what, if there's anything that stands out. I mean, obviously you got a couple new athletes. We have a couple athletes from the portal. Like, what is this team's kind of identity so far that you see in mid-November?
Yeah, I think this group's passion towards being a Husky, it's pretty cool to see. I mean, obviously having, I don't know our quantity of athletes that are coming from the transfer portal, certainly many, but watching these women who maybe never really thought they could be a part of our program now be in it, it's pretty prideful for them. It's really neat to see. I think specifically our pitchers and like someone like Sophia Ramuno coming from Cal Poly, watching our program, wanting to compete at this level. And then you watch a Stevie Hansen, kind of in her last year, just coupling like the urgency of her last year, just with new things and, new opportunity. It's really cool to see the passion that the pitchers have specifically. And then we have 16 of 20 are new. And so everything is just, like a first thing, but we're really relying on our 4 returners and Jaden Glab, a catcher, Giselle Alvarez, third baseman, Jean Gardner, a left fielder, Haley Winkler. She's been a backup catcher for us, but those 4 have been awesome for us and just taking us into a new era. Freshman class is going to be exciting with Alexis DeBoer, Sophia Mazzola, Gabby Toney, Morgan Reimer, a pitcher from Langley, British Columbia, ironically. But I'm just excited about what the things are that we're going to go through. We have a tough first 3 weeks that we're going to have to find a way to just scratch and claw and kick. But that's what Husky softball is. I mean, Husky softball is not a bunch of prima donna first round draft picks. Eventually we come to be first round draft picks, but this group's going to be, a group that's going to have to figure out how to learn, and we're going to have to figure out how to do it together. And it's going to be exciting. So we're building for the big base of the schedule that we have to play through in the first 5-6 weeks. We actually do go to Hawaii. So we're excited about that opportunity.
I'll
but
send you all my recommendations.
Yeah, please do. I need all of them. We're just excited to go through this experience together and just build a future for our program again.
And lastly, sorry, I have one more. I think about bringing Jen Salling back into the mix and then bringing on kind of a new pitching coach. Obviously, Glass is there in his history of what he's done, but being able to combo that with someone like Brad, like how cool you've seen both of them come in and just like insert themselves like they've been there, what it seems like the whole time.
Yeah, I think we're lucky just to be able to make the move with Coach Glass being able to be more of like an associate head coach to me and kind of being like an all-seer for everything, and then be able to mentor Brad Kilpatrick, a bright young star in the pitching development category, and then to have so many new pitchers specifically that he gets to really build a foundation with, all 5 of them. And then Jen, of course, how close Jen and I are in terms of like learning the game and growing the game, and to be able to have her by my side and just help our offense and our defense, and just our players have the best chance to be able to compete. It's awesome to have her.
Yeah. Well, I know you guys are going to be at convention. I think Alex is going to try to maybe go for a day. I don't know if she is, but maybe you guys can sync up.
I live in Dallas, so I'm going to try and sneak in.
Oh, that's great. Okay. Well, I'm excited to see you guys there, and just excited that you guys are together doing this, and just helping people know more about the sport, but just life in general. So thank you guys.
I will say, kids are both 3-sport athletes right now. I don't think I can get to Dallas, but Alex is going to be there. But the 3-sport athlete mama, midweek's tough these days.
Okay,
So,
well, I'll come up and see you instead. I'll see your new room back there.
well, we need to get the pickleball on the schedule next Friday.
Okay.
Talk to Kelly about it.
I
I'll reserve the courts.
Okay, can't give you a scouting report on me.
I mean, I think that me and Kelly should be together, and you and Andrew should be together.
Okay, that's probably better for the long-term health of everybody.
Everybody's relationship will be better.
You're right.
Agreed.
Okay.
Awesome. Thank you so much for doing this. I think the world of you. You know that, but
Yeah,
you take the
thank
time.
you.
to be-
Legend.
She's
Thanks.
working out. She's got a trainer now. I see her pulling up weight with the trap. Are you doing your body weight like Jen?
I don't even know what I don't know what I weigh, and I don't want to know what I weigh. So
Scales are
okay.
evil. We don't even look at those. Those
don't
don't
look
work.
at it.
Yeah.
It's okay. My hair weighs too much.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Thank you guys. Go Dogs.
Go Dogs. What?